Gray Smith there with the UK Jazz Voyagers. That was The Snow in You. Really beautiful. That was from the album Back to Earth, produced by Snow Hill Records. And if you'd like a copy of that album, go to www.snowhillrecords.co.uk. Now, I need to tell you a little bit about Interaction, because we share premises with them in the old rectory at Pear Tree Bridge. And that's the home of Interaction MK. They've been bringing arts to life in Milton Keynes for over 35 years now. They use the arts to improve the life chances of disabled people and others in challenging circumstances through shared creative activity. Their programmes help participants to develop creative, personal and social skills. Okay, now I'd like to introduce you to an incredible young musician called Ollie Howell. Now, I came across Ollie from a friend of mine, Alison Livesey. I meet her at jam sessions. Her husband, Tony Freeman, plays the guitar. And she was telling me on Sunday about this young man. And I did a little bit of research about him. And she put us in touch with each other. And he sent me a couple of tracks from his new album. But let me tell you about him. Ollie Howell is a multi-award winning drummer, composer, band leader and international recording artist. Yeah, and he's only in his 20s. Currently based in London and already establishing a name for himself both in the UK and abroad. Ollie is wowing audiences around the globe with his creativity, dynamism and stunning improvisation, as well as a highly acclaimed repertoire of original music. Since 2009, Ollie has also become the mentee of musical legend Quincy Jones, no less. Quincy and Ollie first met in 2009 while Ollie was still studying at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. Quincy recalls their first meeting and he says, "When I arrived at the school, the jazz department had arranged a musical performance from its best students. Obviously, this happens to me a lot when I travel, but what doesn't normally happen is for me to be floored by the performance of one of the musicians." After first watching Ollie perform, Quincy quickly became Ollie's mentor and is still continually helping him to propel his career and introduce him to stalwarts of the international jazz scene. He was born in Wallingford in the UK and he began playing the piano at the age of 7 under the tutelage of a jazz pianist who introduced him to the blues, jazz and Art Blakely. The sounds of all three steered Ollie towards the drums by the age of 13, and professional work as a drummer shortly followed after that. He's now signed to the prestigious Whirlwind Recordings. Ollie has recorded his debut album this year called Suches and Stitches, of which I will tell you a bit more about later on. But first we're going to listen to this track called Beyond.
every Wednesday at 9 p.m, join me, Brando, and the rest of the MK team for the Moocamp Radio Show on Seclo Sounds, where we lift the lid on the world of the MK Dons. It's like a fanzine for your ears. So that's every Wednesday at 9 p.m, the Moocamp Radio Show on Seclo Sounds.
Yeah, we're going to be followed by football, jazz and football in one place. That's what Seclo Sounds is all about. Now, I've been talking to you about Ollie Howell and his album Sutures and Stitches. It was recorded in London, mixed and mastered in New York. Now, it contains a superb collection of original compositions, as well as some amazing musical performances. And on the album are Duncan Eagles on tenor sax, Mark Perry on trumpet, Matt Robinson on piano, Max Luther at double bass. And all the compositions are by Ollie himself. Now, this album also has an incredible backstory. In 2009, Ollie was suddenly diagnosed with a brain malformation, which meant that over the past few years, Ollie has had to have several neurosurgeries, the latest being in April 2012. All of the music on this album was written during and influenced by the incredible journey that Ollie went through during this defining point in his life. What a difficult time for a very young man. Now, we're going to play one more track from his album called For Anya. And I've got a friend called Anya. She's a young composer as well. And Ollie and Anya, perhaps you two should get together.